I'll record it. If it is not required, then I'll scrap that. Okay. So now the first pointer here is we're talking about the test ng. What do you meant by test ng? Ng is nothing but next generation. Test next generation. So this is what the name it has been given for the test ng. Now, what is exactly test ng? Test ng is a testing framework for Java programming language. And who introduced this one? So Cedric Buist. So this is a guy who has been created or founder of this particular test engine. And from where he thought of doing this one is, so it was inspired from JUnit and NUnit. So why means what is this JUnit and what is this NUnit? Or what is the purpose of this one? See, first of all, we need to understand why we need to take up a tool or what is the importance of the tool. Then you can understand all other features. Now, the first pointer here, which we need to understand is what do you meant by JUnit or NUnit? Both are same. This, I'm very sorry, why this is writing like this. Okay, JUnit and NUnit. NUnit. So why these things will be used? So this is a unit testing framework. Unit testing framework. What do you mean by that unit testing framework? For an example, now in our pyramid, so first it will be started with the base layer is it with the unit test. I need to run the unit test cases and then only it will go for the next levels, right? Now, how I need to perform this particular unit test cases or what is the unit test cases? For an example, I'll take for the login functionality. In the login functionality, there is a username, password, and the login button. I need to enter the username, enter the password, click the login button, go to the home page. This is what my one functionality have been written. Now, dev team, what they do, they will write the dev team, what they will do. So they will try to write the unit test cases. Now, for writing these unit test cases and then executing of this particular unit test cases, if you have a framework, then it would be easy for them to do it. Okay. What do you mean by framework? They'll write the test and they'll execute it. What is the purpose of this particular framework? Or what do you mean by framework? See, now you're learning a testing framework. First of all, we should understand. We need to divide that and then you need to understand. You know about testing. Now you need to know about a framework. What do you meant by framework? Anything. You can give the random answers or anything is fine for us. It's not that you need to recording. So in this particular blueprint, I wanted to know that how I should pass my inputs and how I should have my outputs and how I should store my screenshots and how I should store my videos and how I should store my common code libraries and how I should store my base test and how I should store my test suits and how I should store my logs and how I should connect it to the Jenkins and then how I should handle my exceptions. If you prepare means the how answers for all this one, interlinking of all these things will form you a particular framework. Framework is nothing but it's a the framework is nothing but it helps in executing our project efficiently and effectively. Framework is a blueprint where so the things would be organized and structured for, I mean, the structure would be created. So how we need to create our tests and how I should organize my input files and how I should organize my test files. So this structure would be designed and given for us to make our life easier and to make our executions or our work so efficient and effective. See, now I don't want to define any definition for this. You need to understand your concept. You can give any example. If in an interview someone asks me, I'll give the same example that for how we create a house and we have this particular blueprint. So for example, if I wanted to execute for a project with an efficient and effective way, I will create a blueprint of this one. So this is called a framework. And where in this particular framework, these are the components which you will be having it. So this is how I will be I'll be trying to explain. So whenever someone explains you something, if someone asks you the question, try to give an example, and with an example you try to explain him. So what is the understanding for the others will be getting is, oh, he knows the concept well, so he can explain the things well. Few people might be get bored. Okay, boss, you tell me the same straight to the point. Okay, fine, I'll come to the point, and then you can give the answer. always explain the things with an example so that it is very easy for you people. So now what I'm trying to say over here is to make your life means easier. So every time I need to pass it, see, for one test case, I'll pass that input from one file, and another test case, for example, this is input file one, and another input from here, another input from here, another input from here. So four inputs from a different locations. I have been passing the data to a test case. Is it right? Or I'll keep all these particular four inputs into one file and pass that input to this particular test case. Is it right? See, you need to think one more pointer. Creating something is not great. It should be used by the people, and the people should feel that is really user friendly and it is easily maintainable. Even I'll give you a Parker pen. So if you're not able to open the cap of a Parker, will you use that pen? Actually, it's an excellent quality of ink, the excellent gripper, and an excellent way to write the pen. But if you're not able to open that particular cap of a pen and then you can't be able to write that with that particular pen, will it be useful for you? Definitely not. So user friendly is the most important thing, and the maintenance is also most important thing. So when you create a particular framework, so you should create means you should have these particular things in your mind. Actually, there are means I used to take some hours of lecture in creation of the frameworks, because there are different categories of frameworks available in the market. Like so, we do have linear framework, modular framework, keyword driven framework, and data driven framework, and then functional decomposition framework, and BPA framework, and then BDD framework, and functional decomposition function. There are other, how many are 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, one more thing, 8 frameworks are there. So we have 8 frameworks, so these all frameworks will be there. How to pick and choose the framework, and then how to create a particular hybrid framework. So if you are having one or more framework, then it is called an hybrid framework. Now how we need to pick it up? So what are the advantages of this one? See, now you should know about these all, then you can pick and match. See, framework is nothing means it's not that you can go in a Google, get that one and then use that. Everyone will do the same. Then what is the difference between you and someone else? So creating a framework architecture is an art. So you should know means when you can create that one, if you know what other things are there, and it's not that every time you need to reinvent a wheel. So you should know what are the frameworks are there, how to use it. See, if you know that one, you can just sit in your calls, and if someone is talking, then you can say, boss, this is, if you wanted to do the parallel execution, so this is the where you need to do, this is where you need to do, this is where you need to do. If you wanted to make the sequence execution, go to that file, do that and do this. How you can say this all until unless you know this, or until unless you created it. So based means this is what your experience talks about. So first you should know about all these frameworks, and then you need to try to create with that, and then you need to push it over here. Okay. Anyways, that's out of the box of session, so I'll not get into that one. See, now what here we wanted to talk about is, so first framework. So now you understood, right? So framework is an architecture, so where we will means we will make the things so organized, and then we will say that from where the execution need to be started and how it has to be started, and for developing of your scripts, and everything would be there in this one. So now the developer uses the same means how we have been defined for the testing framework. Even for the unit testing also, we will be having the same not same, they will have a different structure of the things. So that these are the tools, means JUnit and then NUnit. So these are the tools, means it is used for Java, and this is used for our NPM scripts, and then C sharps also we can be using for this one. So now when we have this particular JUnit, so framework, so this can help to create your test very faster and easier. So the same way, now every time usually when we are writing the scripts in Java, we need to use a JUnit for this one. So then this guy came into the picture and said like, okay, why can't we have a separate testing framework for us? Always we are using the development framework. Is there any chance that we can, I mean, do we have any particular testing frameworks in the market? At that time, he didn't see any. Nothing he have been seen it. So then he started to create a one framework, which is called TestNG framework. And if you see, even now, almost all the frameworks will be used by the TestNG. That's the prominence and the importance of the test engine. See, now what is the test engine means?
it's simple. It controls your complete your executions. Controlling the execution is not an easy joke. So here it talks about which test case has to execute first, which test case has to execute next. If I wanted to skip a particular test case, and if I wanted to pass the parameters for the test case, and if I wanted to group the particular test case, means I wanted to execute only the smoke cases, only I need to execute the regression test cases, or if I wanted to skip that complete, I don't wanted to execute that particular test cases, I wanted to execute only one particular test case, and I wanted to pass the data of one test case to another test case. The output of one test case is to the input as a second test case. If you you name anything in terms of the controlling of the executions, everything it has been taken care by TestNG. The prominent feature of the TestNG is to control the execution. And second prominent importance is if you wanted to pass the particular test data, if you wanted to pass any particular test data to the test cases, with the help of the test engine, we can pass that particular test data. I'll do one thing. I'll clean up all these things and then I'll write one by one so that it will be easy. So the first thing is controlling of the execution. So this is what the first of the prominent feature of the test engine. And the second thing is it can provide the data, the test data for the test cases. And the third one is we can group that particular test cases, and we do have all, means in the controlling itself I told, right, grouping and skipping and sequencing and excluding, including, whatever we wanted. So all these things will be part of this one. So these all things also controlling the execution, I can mark it. And next one is I can provide the listeners. What do you meant by listeners means throughout I have 1,000 test cases. Now one test case failed. What I need to do if a test case failed? If a test case passed, what I should do? If a test case skipped, what I should do? Means in 1,000 test cases, if 200 times a particular test case will fail, will you go and do manually for every time for the failure test cases? What here it will do is it will create a structure so that whenever a test case fail, go and take the screenshot, go and take the video recording and go and log that particular error message. So that will be given for the failure. So now in 1,000 test cases, if 999 test cases fails also, this will go and perform the same step. And now when the test case is passed, what it should do, when a test case skipped, what it should do, all these things it will be taken care. So this is called listener. I'm listening. So I will be listening for your all your tests. So how your test cases are executing it. So if your test cases goes wrong, what you should do. So all those things will be listened by the listeners. So that is a chance of, means that is a the option of a listener. Anyways, we will implement these all. We will, means I just wanted to give you a high level thing. I'll just wanted to let you know. And second, the next most important thing is the assertions. What do you meant by assertion? See, comparing the expected value with an actual value is called an assertion. So now I was trying to compare, and means if you wanted to make a test case passed or failed, the status of the test case will be proven or derived by this particular logic. So whether if E equal to A. So if A equal to A, then the test case is passed. If E is not equal to A, then the test case is failed. E means expected value equal to actual value, then it is passed. Expected value not equal to A, then it is failed. So this is how the expected and then actual values would, means the assertions will be worked for us. And here in the test engine, we do have hard assertion, soft assertion, and how to use it. A hard assertion and soft assertion will be letting you know. And the next one is the retry mechanism. So the retry mechanism is nothing but I have executed 10 test cases and two test cases has been failed. Now, these two test cases are also, when I executed these two test cases separately, it was working. But during the execution point of time, there might be any external factor. It might be a network issue, or it might be infra issue, or it might be any delay synchronization issues. The test case has been failed. Now, what I can do, I can take this particular two test cases and I can retry, means I can re-execute that particular test case for once again, and I can see that whether it can be happened or not. If this particular retry is not working fine, means even after means if I executed these two test cases once again, and even after this one, if the test cases get failed, then it's okay, perfectly fine. That might be an issue. So that's the reason it was failing. Either it might be auto fix, or it might be an application fix, or it's a bug. So auto fix means in automation script, if you have written anything and if it is getting failed, then it is called auto fix. And if it is an application issue, then it will be called as a bug. Okay, so that's what we have been defined over here. So now okay, then what is it means, what is the difference between a bug, an error, a failure, an issue, or a defect? What is the differences between them? Now going back here, I'll just try to stop this, and this is what our official site. Okay, I'll remove this one, clear all. So this is what our official site, I mean site for the test engine. So as I told you, so the latest version means we need to know whenever we are working with a tool, we should know what are the latest version which we are working on. The latest version is 7.3.0, and it was released in September 19 2020. And this is developed and founded by Cedric Bust, and the licensing for this one is Apache license 2.0. What do you mean by this licensing, or what is the purpose of this one? Anyone?
This is the application license, right? Like the framework license. Like we need that to use it. Without that, we'll be getting into legal things.
Where you use this, or how to use this?
In the framework, you use it, right?
No, no, no,
As a
no.
package.
We will not use this at any point. We will not use it. But what is this particular license means is, we do means we have releasing a particular product into the market. What type of particular thing is this? We will be saying this is an open source, right? When you are trying to say this is an open source tool, what do you meant by the open source tool means, we do have different category of licenses: MIT license, GPU license, and Apache license 2.0. So means it means we are saying that, boss, this is open source, but it comes with some rules and regulations. See now, Apache license 2.0, what it will do means, even though it's an open source tool, you can redistribute, you can make the modification, you can get this particular source code, and you can resell this one to someone else. But GPU licenses and MIT licenses is not like that. Every licenses will have their respective terms and conditions in using that particular tool. See, these licenses are how to use that particular tool. We will not use this particular licensing topic when you are trying to use it at all. See now, as this is an open source, you can download this one, and then you can use this one, and you can, if you wanted to get that particular thing, you can modify this one, and you can sell this one also to someone else. So even Selenium also will be under the same licenses. Any open source tools, anything, you will be encountering with this particular licensing topic. So now if you wanted, you can just click on this one, and then you can go through that. So you should know the terms and conditions, because always the terms and conditions will come up with these small stars, conditions applied. The same way, every licenses are having a certain rules and conditions. So how we can use this particular tool? So that is what this particular licensing concept. Okay, anyways, I'll not spend the time on this, so let's go for this particular website, and then we will see it. So what it was doing it. Okay, so now we will just means these are the things which we were discussing continuously on this one. So the first thing is annotations. Annotations is nothing but, I told you, right, if you given any particular at the rate symbol, and then we have been given this one, so this is called an annotation. And here in TestNG, we do have completely 9 annotations which we can use it over there. So now this will help your life, this will make your life very much easier. So here also there is a hierarchy for this one. Anyone is means from the old students, we have it? No, we do have 9 annotations. What this particular 9 annotations will be doing is, for an example, I'll say, I'll will say, for an example, I need to connect to the DB, and I need to fetch the data, and the same data I need to use it in my test case, and then at the last I need to disconnect from this particular DB. Now, when you're writing the program, you need to call this method and you need to call this method. And then in your test case, means for example, we'll be writing it like a DB connect, and then we'll be writing it as DB disconnect. And here you'll be saying that execute the query and do the assertion, and then you go out. So now every time you need to recall these particular methods continuously, right? Now what we will be doing is we will be having things called before test and after test. You'll call only once here, that db connect, and after test you'll be writing with db disconnect. If you written like this one, what it will try to do is, I have 1,000 test cases. Every test case, when you are starting the execution, first it will go to the before test and it will try to execute this. And then after test execution, then it will execute this. You'll define only once. That's the beauty, right? So now if you execute some thousands of test cases, for every test case, this will execute first and this will execute next. Like this, we do have before suit, before class, before test, before method, and test, after method, after test, after class, after suit. So now this combinations you'll have it before, after, before, after, before class, before suit, after suit. Now we will explain about what is before suit, after that's very easy to understand. It's not so complicated. The name itself, it was saying before suit, after suit. I have smoke suit and regression suit. If after means whenever I was executing the smoke suit, these are the prerequisites I need to do. What are the prerequisites I need to do? I need to open the browser for every time, and then I need to close the browser after every test. So I can keep it that one in the before test, the before method and after method. And what we need to keep in the, you should know what is the difference between before suit, before class, before test, and before method. If you know that particular basic differences, then you can understand that where I need to call this particular method, where I need to call the open browser or close browser. So these all things would be easier for us to know it. So this is what, anyways, we will talk about those particular annotations in our coming sessions. Don't worry about that. So now here, that is what we'll be taking care of, the annotations. Okay, and then there are some configuration. We will be having the testng xml file will be there. So via this particular xml file, we make all our configurations, and these configurations are very much easier for us to use it. So that is called the test configurations, which we have been providing with this. And the next one is the data providers. We have been talked about it, right? So if I wanted to pass the tested data for this particular test case, I can maintain with the help of data providers the means in the testng to provide, means how we can provide the data from the testng. What is the option is, this is called as data providers. With the help of data providers, we can provide the tested data to the test cases. So that's what we have been already discussed. And supporting parameters, if you wanted to pass the parameters for a particular test case, even that particular parameters also we can pass it. For an example, I wanted to pass Chrome, or I wanted to pass Firefox. These browsers, I need to pass it for the execution. So I can pass this particular parameters from one file to another file with the help of testng. But why I should use testng? I can use the Java and I can pass this particular things from here to here, right? Yes, you can do that. See, these are the features which we have it from the tool. So same features might be there in another. See, now you have two mobile phones. Every mobile phone will have the calling functionality. Every mobile will be having the smartphone functionalities. But something is different from one particular thing. So the ease of use is much more good in the Android, means iPhones, and the ease of use is good in Android also. But still, it's up to the end user which function, means which phone he need to use it. The same way, if you wanted to use it, you have the both the features. It's up to you where you wanted to use it. I told you, right? If I wanted to use the retry options, I can use the retry option from the Cucumber also, or I can use a retry option from the testng also. It's up to you from where you wanted to reuse. But you should know the both the options. What are the advantages and disadvantages of the both the options? So those are the things it can be derived from here. And it have the powerful execution model. I told you, right? So if whatever the complete execution control control. So the execution control can be done on this one. And what are the tools supported for this one? It's supported with the Eclipse. It's supported with the IDEA and the Maven. So it's an IntelliJ. Means, for example, Eclipse is one particular IDE, and we do have IntelliJ. So that's another IDE. So this is what IntelliJ IDE, and then this is Maven, and these all tools can be integrated with this particular test engine. Okay, so remaining functionalities I'll explain when I was explaining about that, because it might confuse us a lot. So with this, so we have been just try to know what is TestNG and what are the features of the TestNG. Just we have been talked about that particular introduction. Now if at all you wanted to install this particular TestNG, so how we wanted to do that one? So that is what the next thing we wanted to know about it. It is very pretty simple to do this all. Just you need to go to your Eclipse. From Eclipse itself, we can do all these things. No need to go for anywhere else. Go to your this particular space, and once you reach there, okay. Now whether the TestNG is installed in your machine, you wanted to know, then what you need to do is just you need to go for a particular class file, and then you can see to run this one. So this was not enabled with the TestNG. Okay, now if this is one of the project, I think uh, see, now as soon as the TestNG enabled, it was showing me the TestNG test. If at all, if I'm executing from this one, it was not showing me that. Now this file, I'll go for any particular, oh, this is a framework. So now if I wanted to go for any this particular file, you see the run. Here we are running it as Java application. What is the difference between this run as Java TestNG means? The basic difference for this is, if you wanted to execute any particular program, what is the main thing we wanted? We want main method. Without having the main method, Java can't execute this one. But TestNG will not require any particular main method. So directly, if you say that at the rate of test, with this particular at the rate of test, it will pick it up and then it will do the test executions. We don't require main method for TestNG. Okay, keep it that in mind. So first, let's see how to install this particular TestNG. Now, if you wanted to install this particular TestNG, first we need to go for help, and then we need to go for install new software. And then when you do the install software, here you will be having to, and you need to enter the URL for this one. So now for this one, what you need to do is, anyways, you will be in this, go to the Eclipse, because we are trying to install in this particular Eclipse, right? So you need to get that particular, means here you will be having the clear cut information how to do the installation and all the things. You can see those informations, what are the things you need to configure and all. But what I'll try to do is, I'll give you the easiest way of installing this one. So just go to the downloads. In the particular downloads, you okay, rather than this one, I'll let you know another easiest way. Install test ng. Okay, so once you click on this one, the first link would be, means whatever the link, usually it will come for the Guru 99, because you do have a good features of this one. What you need to do is, this is a binary file which you need to take it up. Just copy this particular URL. Okay, copy this URL, come back to your Eclipse, and here you just paste that URL. Okay, as soon as you have been paste the URL here, by default, I already installed this one, so that it was already throwing me an error. What else I need to do? I need to remove that, and then I need to do install. Anyone else can share the screen? I'll show how to do this. Anyone else can share the screen, please?
Yeah, I can share.
Yeah, please go ahead. So I'm just pinging you this particular, go to the help, install software, help, and click on install software.
Install new software.
Install new software, and then in that one, enter in the chat. I have been
Okay.
copy that
Okay.
and paste it in the work with.
Why I can't minimize this? Not getting your chat. Okay. No. Just a minute. Just a minute, please.
Sure, not a problem.